Never do that. And if you do, remember I told you not to. This week we build the subfloors, but before we get started on that, we're trying to figure out how to use these new microphones we bought that clip on. We're not very tech savvy. Okay, so you are operating the gun while I lay everything out. Don't put your hand on this board. Okay. For two reasons. For one, if you skim this and miss and the nail goes flying, it could hit you. Ooh. Or if you get too close and it comes out, it can hit your finger. So it's best to always, once you get the board where you need it, then take your hand away. You didn't do the first one. Now our building's gonna fall apart. Oh, on these you can put, I'm sorry, one in each board. Oh. I was just talking about that's the board for lining up, which you got them right. Oh. Yeah, we still want to put the 3 in each one of those. Section 2.
Section 2?
Like that. And then that hangs on the board. There you go.
Cool.
That's the board that's up and down that you're nailing through. Huh? That's the rim board. The one that's on the edge. Ah! There you go. And then this one. To keep the marks the same in the layout, we'll set it here.
Like this?
As long as the... So remember when we were building the tent deck and we had to crown these? That's already done.
What do you mean crowned?
Because the board always has one or the other. Okay. And then you got to look at it. I already did that the other day.
It has to be like, the concave is what?
No, you want the arch to be top.
Oh, the arch should be on top?
Yeah, it's going to have more strength. Just like a bridge or something.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, you can nail those in.
Can you move this a little?
What you need, love?
This is a little like slanted.
Just need more like this?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Now we'll just start setting them on the notches. Oh, I cut just the right amount, but I forgot that I was going to add 2 extra for these, for the water support. So I got to cut the 2 that go here.
Toads. You don't hear the toads anymore.
Probably
Probably when they were waking up.
Yeah. Coming out of their hibernation, they were loud and then they just quit.
That's crazy. They're all like celebrating.
How was that?
Don't put that in the video.
No!
I said cock.
That's 100% going in the video. Okay, so we want to do, see the line with the X?
Yeah.
So we want this board to be on top of the X and this side to be with that line?
Yeah. Something
happened. Oh. You just didn't nail this one in.
Oh, is it? Oh, I missed that.
Either that or I'm so strong I ripped the nails off. But I'm gonna go with you didn't nail it in. So,
I'm fired.
you're fired.
Wait, where is it?
Just grab them. You'll find one that moves.
Oh yeah, what the hell? Where is that?
It's got to come up too. It's a little low, that board, so make
What
sure.
happened? Oh, like, what the hell? There's no nail. It looks like there's like nails. It made a hole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look.
It must have actually ran out of nails but kept firing in. Usually it won't fire if it's out of nails, but
Yeah, look.
yeah, I believe you. It's got the indentation.
Yeah.
Little, like, moon
And
looking.
it's like deep too.
Yeah, that's just that's the driver that pushes the nail out for some reason.
Oh.
But pull that board up. See, it's not flush. The top.
Oh.
There you go. Don't shoot your hand. Toenail one in here. Or at an angle so it goes down and hits the beam. There you go. That's good. Just one. Just in case. First thing, some of you might be wondering what we use for floor joists. Just 2x6s. I might regret that in the future. I might wish I would have went with 2x8s. These 2x6s, being 16-inch on center, the type of lumber they are rated for a 9-foot 6-inch span. This is a 9-foot 9-inch span. So technically I am 3 inches over what I'm supposed to be spanning with these. This is a light building. It's just 4 exterior walls. We're not going to have a lot in here. It's going to be the two of us. There's not going to be a lot in here, so I'm not going to sweat it. And again, if you've been watching our channel, I've mentioned many times before, this is a temporary home. We probably will live in this for 2 to 3 years, but we're going to be living in this while we build our main home. 2x6 going across, 16 on center with a rim joist. And then these right here are blocking that I put in for backing. So the purpose for this is the floor sheeting will go on top of this. We have 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood that we're doing. We're using plywood instead of OSB that we used on the last few buildings. That was a tent deck and a shed. I went cheap on them. This one, okay, I'm going a little cheap on the building, but I'm not going to go cheap enough to save a couple $100 on some OSB for the flooring. I am going to use the plywood for the floor on this. So this blocking right here anyways, what it does is, my purpose of this is once we get the floor on, when we stand up the side walls, which are the load-bearing walls for this building, this will be where the walls nail into on the base plate. So we have some nailing to go into. So we have 1.5 inches plus the 3.5 here. So I have 5 inches when the walls are 2x6, which are 5.5. So I have 5 inches of nailing area for these load-bearing walls. So that gives me more to nail through than just this one 2x6 on the rim joist and flooring. So I got a little deeper for nailing. Actually, I'll probably screw those in. And then on the ends, I doubled up the joist. And on the ends, then we'll have 3 inches. Now, these are not load-bearing walls, but we'll at least have 3 inches there so we can get those screwed into that. And then we got a center line of blocking too, right down the middle. So now that you saw what we've done with the blocking, we are going to get this insulation up. The double reflective insulation. This is something that's new to me. I did use it in the shed. I saw this on YouTube, a guy that swears by this, and he is in a completely different climate zone. So to be fair, this was the only thing he was insulating his floors with. It was in a much warmer climate, and he said it did an amazing job. So I'm going to try it as just an extra layer of insulation. We are not using this as the insulation. We're going to put this on under the plywood. The disadvantage of this is by using this, I cannot glue down the floors. So this will just go on, and then I'll just be screwing the floors down. I'm not going to worry about it again because this is it's just going to be a workshop someday. But we're trying this out just as an experiment. So we're going to try this out. We're going to put this on, and then underneath, once we're done, we will be building skirt walls that go all the way to the ground. There'll be a 2x4 wall with foam insulation on the inside and also foam insulation on the underside of the joist with probably OSB up against them, holding it all up into place. And then there'll be an air gap in here of this 5.5 inches from the foam insulation to the subfloor, or to the foil wrap, and then the subfloor. So that's what we're going to try to do. Today we're just going to get the foil down and get the plywood down. It's actually a really nice day out. It's about probably low 50s. It's a little windy out. I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone, but you can see from the trees it's windy. But we are very fortunate that these trees around us, the birch trees, are so thick that even on a windy day, you don't feel it here down on the ground. You hear it, but you don't feel it down here on the ground. There's been days where the wind was like this, and we're like, oh, you hear the wind, but it doesn't bother you. And then we'll go down to the beach and it's just miserable. We're very lucky that we're in this little cocoon area where we don't really get affected by the wind, because it does get windy here sometimes. And most of the wind usually comes from the north, which the north is this way, and the hill kind of slopes up a little bit there and is extremely thick with trees. There's nobody. This is all just empty land. There's nothing on these lots for probably 3/4 of a mile. There's no houses there. And then to the south of us, we have the lake, pond, I don't know which it is. And then again, thick trees, but the wind rarely comes from that way. So no matter which way it's coming from, we don't even feel it here. So it is a windy day today. If we could feel the wind that I know is blowing up there, I wouldn't even try to put this foil wrap out, because by myself, I would wait for Eleinne. It would be too hard, but we're gonna go ahead and do it. So this is 48 inches wide. So there'll just be one row under each row of plywood. I have not taken the time to measure it yet to see if it's exactly 48 or if it's a little over. I'm gonna do that here in just a sec. Ooh. Alright, so this stuff does not appear to be, either it's not straight or I got it crooked. And the hope is that'll give me a perfectly straight line. Guide my plywood off of that. Alright. So that ended up being pretty nice. Let's pull this tight. You know, I'm just going to go with my original plan and just do one row at a time, or at least the first row. Once the first row's on, then everything just goes off of that. So let's do the first row, and I don't have them in the position I want. So I need to flip that and swing it around. These are the grooves that the tongue of the other side will go into, and like this one right here, you can see where it's got dinged up. It doesn't take much to ding those up, so you just gotta kind of clean them out so that later when we put the next sheet in, they'll go in nice. Same here, so just a little off. I have these sheets upside down right now, so still gotta flip them over. And for those of you wondering about when I sit upside down with the plywood, structurally I don't think it matters, but see on the one side the knots, you can see how there's a big chunk missing out of all the knots, and on the other side you won't have that. On the other side the knots are smooth. So depending on your application for this, you know, I want the smooth side to be up. If you were using this for exposed plywood on an eave from the underside, then you would want this down, which is pretty common. Maybe not here, but in other construction projects I've done, they'll rip this and use this for the underside as an eave and just paint this side of it. All right, now that we got the first layer on, we're gonna double check some measurements before we do the next two, or the first row. So we should have 8 feet from the edge of the sheet to the edge of the building here. We're gonna check this in about 4 places. This is perfect here. Perfect. That is off by a 1/16, which I'm going to call good enough. This one is also off by 1/16, which is probably not because the sheet's off. It's probably because I got just a little bit of movement in this rim joist up and down the side. So we're done sheeting the floors. Well, done as in cutting them and tacking them down. There's like 9 screws in each sheet, so we still got to come behind and screw all these off. What we're going to do, Eleinne is on her way home now, and when she gets home we'll quickly snap some lines down these where all the joists are, just so that when we come through and put in all the screws, we're accurate and hitting joists every time. So next week we'll be doing the walls, and very excited about that. We'll be doing these walls, just Eleinne and I, so it's going to be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 sections. So we're going to do the 2 outside walls. Everything's 8 foot, flat walls, no rake walls on this one. It's going to be pretty simple. So we're going to do the outside walls, which are 16 foot long, in 2 8-foot sections, raise those, and then the double top plate will overlap that. And then the end walls will be 11 foot 1 inch each, once you take the 5.5 out of each side of it. So those will be pretty easy for us to build and raise by ourselves. So we'll be back doing that next week and look forward to it.